GT and GTS. The Mercedes-AMG GT debuted in September 2014 as the second car ever developed entirely in-house by AMG after the SLS that preceded it. The base GT made 462 horsepower from a brand-new 4-liter twin-turbo V8 called the M178. The GTS launched first with 503 horsepower. The engine was the most innovative V8 Mercedes had ever built. The turbocharger sat inside the cylinder banks rather than outside, an arrangement called the Hot V configuration that drastically reduced turbo lag and made the engine more compact than any conventional layout allowed. Every M178 was hand-built by a single technician at the AMG factory in Affalterbach, Germany, under the company's one-man, one-engine philosophy. The technician's signature was engraved on a metal plaque attached to the engine. The GT used a front mid-engine layout with the V8 mounted behind the front axle and a 7-speed dual-clutch transaxle at the rear, giving it near-perfect weight distribution. The body was made of aluminum alloys with a magnesium hood. Where the SLS had aimed at Ferrari and Lamborghini, the GT was positioned to attack the Porsche 911 and Audi R8 at a fraction of the SLS's price. The GTS was selected as the official Formula One safety car for 3 consecutive seasons, starting in 2015. GTC, the Mercedes-AMG GTC, arrived in 2016 as the first roadster variant of the GT family and slotted between the GTS and the upcoming GTR. It used the same hand-built 4-liter twin-turbo V8 tuned to 550 horsepower with 502 pound-feet of torque. The GTC borrowed the wider rear track and rear axle steering system from the GTR, making it the first Mercedes road car ever to combine a roadster body with active rear steering. The wide-body rear fenders gave the GTC a more aggressive stance than the standard car. Acceleration to 62 miles per hour took 3.7 seconds with a top speed of 196 miles per hour. A coupe version followed the Roadster a year later. The GTC quickly became the best-selling member of the GT family because it offered most of the GTR's performance with a Roadster option and slightly more usability for daily driving. GTR, the Mercedes-AMG GTR, debuted at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in June 2016, wearing a unique color called AMG Green Hell Magno, named after the German nickname for the Nürburgring Nordschleife. The same M178 V8 was tuned to 577 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. The GTR kept the rear-wheel steering system but added manually adjustable coilover springs, an active underbody fairing that lowered itself at speed for additional downforce, a manually adjustable rear wing, and a 9-mode AMG traction control system that let the driver fine-tune slip levels for track use. Sound insulation was reduced. Several luxury features standard on the GTC, including keyless entry and the heated power folding mirrors, were deleted to save weight. The GTR lapped the Nürburgring in 7 minutes and 10 seconds, a time that put it ahead of cars costing twice as much. AMG nicknamed the car Beast of the Green Hell. From 2018 onward, the GTR replaced the GTS as the official Formula One safety car. GTR Pro. The Mercedes-AMG GTR Pro arrived in 2018 as a limited production version of the GTR built specifically to lap circuits faster than any AMG had done before. Power stayed at 577 horsepower because the bottleneck was no longer the engine. The Pro added carbon fiber torque tube, adjustable carbon fiber anti-roll bars front and rear, fully adjustable coilovers with electronic damping derived from the GT racing program, an additional shear panel under the front of the car, and a larger fixed rear wing with adjustable angle. Aerodynamics generated significantly more downforce. The Pro was about 6 seconds faster than the standard GTR around the Nürburgring, despite using the same engine, the same horsepower, and roughly the same weight. The improvements were entirely in the chassis and aerodynamics. Production was limited, and AMG made the Pro deliberately uncompromising. The driver had to choose the settings manually before each session. There was no convertible option. There was no automatic option for the suspension. GT Black Series. The Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series launched in 2020 as the most extreme road-going AMG of all time and the first AMG Fi8 in history to use a flat-plane crankshaft. Flat-plane cranks deliver a very different firing order from cross-plane cranks, producing a higher-pitched and more aggressive sound similar to a Ferrari or McLaren rather than the deep rumble of a traditional American or German V8. The flat-plane M178 LS2 engine made 720 horsepower at 6,700 RPM with a red line of 7,200. The Black Series weighed about 3,700 pounds. The aerodynamic package was completely redesigned with new front splitter, hood vents, fender vents, side skirts, rear diffuser, and a massive double-element rear wing. Total downforce more than doubled compared to the GT-R Pro. In November 2020, the Black Series set a Nürburgring production car lap record of 6 minutes 43.6 seconds, beating the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ that had held the previous record. GT3 racing driver Mauro Engel said after the lap that the Black Series was significantly faster than his actual GT3 race car despite producing fewer horsepower, because the road car had no series regulations limiting it. Production was limited and pricing started at $325,000 in the United States. GT second generation. The second-generation Mercedes-AMG GT debuted in 2023 as a completely new car sharing its platform with the new SL Roadster. AMG introduced fundamental changes that polarized fans. All-wheel drive became standard for the first time on a GT, replacing the rear-wheel drive layout that had defined the original. A pair of small rear seats was added behind the front seats, ending the GT's history as a strict two-seater. The base GT55 used a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, making 476 horsepower. The GT63 made 577. The flagship GT63 SE Performance combined the V8 with a plug-in hybrid system for a combined 805 horsepower, hitting 60 miles per hour in 2.7 seconds. Critics argued that adding rear seats, all-wheel drive, and a hybrid powertrain transformed the GT from a focused driver's car into a luxury grand tourer with sports car performance. AMG argued that the new GT was faster, more usable, and easier to live with than the original. Both sides were correct. The GT had grown up. Whether that is good or bad depends on what the buyer wants from the badge.